can.
Yeah.
I told you.
He responds to Dave.
I haven't even started yet and I'm done.
All right. Kathleen, can you record us?
Recording in progress.
Amazing. I would like to call the regularly scheduled Middlebury Selectboard meeting of Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 to session. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. It's been suggested that as a matter of courtesy to folks who are waiting, that we might move the item. Where is it? I don't even know.
Unless they
So
come,
many things.
unless
Item 12.
Item 12, the appointment of the police chief up if we get a crowd for that. If
Yeah.
not, we can continue on track.
All right. Is that okay, everyone?
Sure.
Sure.
Great. With that caveat,
I move.
moved by Farhad, second by Heather. All those in favor, say aye or signify with a raised thumb. Aye. Fantastic. Cruising right through. The next item is the approval of the consent agenda. This includes the minutes of our August 22nd and September 5th special meeting, the minutes of the Energy Committee from August, a liquor license for Daedalus Wine, a first-class license for them, a public assemblage permit for the Better Middlebury Partnership Car Show on, is it Sunday, October 15th?
Mhm.
Looks like it is. The appointment of an authorized representative, in this case, Public Works Planning Director Emily Charrington, as our Clean Water State Revolving Fund, Drinking Water State Revolving Fund representative. The manager's reports, correspondence, etc.
I move as presented.
Second.
Yes,
Just one
please,
comment.
absolutely.
I was just excited to see a report from the airport in there and wondered if the neighborhood group there,
Yes.
I'm sorry, my brain is just not working. Are they aware? Did they get a copy of the report as well?
I got the email, so
Okay.
I'm assuming everybody
Okay.
else did.
I just wanted to comment that I thought it was great that there was a report
Yep.
and it was unsolicited, and I just wanted to make sure that it,
Well, I don't know
It was
about
solicited.
the unsolicited
There was
part.
an email chain going on, and somebody sent an email to Michelle that, hey, we are not getting the updates.
Yeah.
And she
Okay.
said, she apologized, and she said, let me get it right out. And that's
okay, well, I didn't know that part. Anyway, I was excited to see a report.
I was also excited to see it. I was a little bit, thanks for bringing this to my attention. I was a little bit less excited when I saw the noise and flight-related complaints link in the notice that they gave, which goes to an FAA site saying, contact your local airport. So I felt like there was a little something circular in that.
I didn't think to try it. I was excited that it was in there,
Yes.
but I didn't try it.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, I felt like that was not exactly in the spirit of the reporting that we had asked for. Moved and seconded. Any other comments?
Are you gonna just make that comment back to them?
That would be lovely.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to note that we have Phil Summers from the Addison County Chamber of Commerce and Karen Duguay from Better Middlebury Partnership. In the event anybody has any questions about the public assemblage permit for the car show.
Izzy had commented on how much she enjoyed it and was looking forward to it, and I would second that. And I'm sure there's third, fourth, and fifths for that. Maybe a sixth if Dan can hear me. Yeah, I don't know that we have questions.
So
Thank you.
it's basically the same as what went on last year, and last year was successful, so I didn't have any concerns.
Perfect. Great. Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Awesome. All right. Let me get back to where I'm supposed to be. I believe that it is the time in our agenda for public comments. This is an opportunity for community members to briefly comment or share concerns about items not on the agenda. Is there anyone here for something which is not on
I
our
have
agenda?
a hand from Judy Weiger Crows.
Okay.
And And Judy, I think you have the floor.
Thanks so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. And I got my timer set actually to 2 minutes, just so you know. So a couple things. One, thank you, all of you, for requesting the quarterly report from V-Trans, which it seems you have received. A couple of comments about that. One, it was difficult for me to find it on the town's website. Is that my technological issue, or was it like buried somewhere? I just couldn't find it. It took like quite a few, to try to find it. And one of the things I found as I read it was there was not a huge amount of information. In fact, about half of the content was cut and paste from one report to another. But okay, that being said, what stood out for me is as follows. The report on from January to March, indicated that 17 trees on 1.85 acres north of Munson Road were going to be cut. And I'm sure you're aware of that. The area north of Munson Road has now been clear cut. I, for one, find that problematic. So again, back in January to March, the information that came out from V-Trans was 17 trees on 1.85 acres north of Munson Road were going to be selectively cut. The area north of Munson Road has been clear cut. And I find that incredibly problematic. I think there's also some kind of monitoring device sitting in the middle of that area. If I were to guess, it's for monitoring bat activity. And I'm not a bat, but personally, there's no way I would enter that area if I was a bat. So given that area has been clear cut, I would like to see the town, members of the select board, chair of the select board, town manager, request that V-Trans allows the planting of low-growing trees, which is why I asked Kathleen, and she graciously accommodated me to add a page to your packet that provides the names of slow-growing trees that could be planted in that area. There is also, I would like somebody to request of V-Trans why that area, if you don't want trees, why a pollinator garden could not be established there. Unless, of course, we're concerned about rogue deer or rodent terrorists, in which case I hope somebody, admits that. But is somebody willing to, at this point, willing to say, yes, I will contact V-Trans and find out if this is possible?
Judy, this makes a ton of sense. We are already contacting them about their reporting, and we should ask about what their plans are for the area where they logged.
So and then I would ask Andy that information be transmitted to local residents, because nobody here in East Middlebury has that information. And
Absolutely.
that would save a lot of time.
Yeah.
And angst.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks, Judy.
Thanks so much.
Moving onward.
If I could just add a very short thing to that.
Could you please come to the microphone and let us know again who you are?
Richard McCurr. And there's been apparently a good deal of herbicide spraying in that area north of Munson Road. And there's no mention of that in the V-Trans report. I think that's ecologically irresponsible.
Did you witness the herbicide spraying?
Oh, this is something I have secondhand, but it's been reported to me by a number of people who are apparently quite aware, the closer neighbors than I am.
Okay.
So it did say in the report at the bottom of page 1, on airport planned activities for coming months, normal airport maintenance activities are ongoing. Weed spraying is scheduled for this fall. So that did say in the report that we just
I
got,
missed that, sorry.
and that has been a normal airport maintenance.
Near the fences, yes. North
Okay.
of Munson Road, not at all.
This is north, okay, okay.
And there's no way a weed is going to interfere with airport operations. It's just not.
That makes sense.
I missed the first part of
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Thanks very much.
That's all.
Anyone else with business not on the agenda?
Judy has raised her hand.
Judy, how's your timer? How's your timer doing?
So, one additional thing is posting for spraying not required.
I think it depends on what the chemistry is. I think
So do you know what the chemistry is?
I have no idea what the chemistry is.
Then I think it behooves the town to find out what it, I have a good guess.
And it's not something that anybody wants.
Glycophosphate?
Yeah, glyphosate.
Glyco,
Which
yeah.
is essentially Roundup.
It is Roundup. It
And
is.
nobody wants that in their water supply or their local environment. So please check. Thanks so much.
All right. Another call for anyone with items of public interest not on our agenda.
Kathleen, is the cemetery fund on the agenda or not? Put it on the other day?
It is not on the agenda. I forwarded your request for payment to the accounting office.
And we need to do something tonight. You mentioned having a warrant.
Having a warrant, I'm not entirely sure if it's on the warrant, but if it is, they would approve it.
Could you please come forward and identify yourself?
Yes, Linda Williams here, treasurer of the Middlebury Cemetery Association.
Do we have the warrant?
Pardon?
The warrant was in the email.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, please.
Paper.
I understand that there's a payment which is,
Well, there are a couple of years, there's about 7 decades of payments that have been missed. Because this fund got lost from 1894 right up until 2005.
1894.
Yes.
Okay,
When the town was appointed the fiduciary agent of a fund to look after a family plot in the cemetery, the Starr family.
okay,
STARR is in Starr Hall and Starr Library.
yeah,
And I don't know what happened between the First World War and about 1970s when Dick Goodrow, who was our town clerk at the time,
yeah,
came in and discovered that fund and a whole bunch of other little funds, including flower funds and church funds, and tried to amalgamate all that. And then it got lost again until 2005,
okay,
when the bank, Chittenden Bank, contacted the town and said, "What is this
yeah.
Yep.
And it was matched up as the Star
family fund
Family
for the
Fund.
cemetery lot?" And the town had been appointed since 1894 to be the fiduciary agent, which is like a trustee,
Yes,
and they lost it all those years.
okay,
And John Tenney sat right here. He was the chairman at that time, and he said, boy, you people have lost out thousands of dollars worth of interest. And my comment, and Jim Swift, who's our attorney, said, yeah, we should sue the town for those back interest payments. Be tens of thousands of dollars now, because the original fund was $5,000 in 1894.
Mm-hmm.
And Ken Bryan at the bank said that would be hundreds of thousands today that hadn't been lost. Yep. So in the last few years, we seem to have gotten, since 2005, we were sort of on the right track. Jackie Sullivan had been our previous treasurer. She was paying payments every April for a few years. Then it switched to July payments. And then she had got something got mixed up for a few years. And then the last 5 years, there was a payment in August, and then one in October, then in September and November. And the last 2 years has been zero again.
Okay.
So we'd like to get something more regularized.
Sure.
The town doesn't want to have the fiduciary responsibility. They got 2 courses, and I just had an email this week from Jim Swift, who's the attorney on our board. Some of you might know who he is, Langrock, Sperry, and Wool.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 choices. Either the town can go to the probate court through their attorney and say, we're done. We're done. We don't want to do this anymore. We're not able to do it, whatever excuse you want to come up with. Or, as Jim is saying, the alternative to doing this is for the town to transfer the funds for a brokerage account with instructions for an automatic payment on a yearly basis. Can the town give the bank, whichever bank the fund is in, the National Bank, whatever, written instructions to automatically distribute the amount called for in the trust on an annual basis? So hopefully it doesn't get lost year after year, and I have to come, or we got to have or we're going to stand up in March at the town meeting and say, we got a problem here.
Yeah.
You can't say that the town's finances the budget's okay when you owe us money, and it's accruing over time. In the last 2 years, we got zero. I know there are other things going on, especially with Jackie and her health issues.
Sure.
But still, I think we're all up to here with excuses about staff problems and shortages and all the rest of it with the COVID. Yes, Farhad.
What's a typical payment?
They vary wildly. For years, it had been $500-600 a year, which doesn't sound much at all. It's only a $5,500 fund. And then it got down after the stock market crashed. It got down to $300, $200, something like that. And then it was kind of all over the place for a while. But then the last time we had a payment, which was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, in 2021, it was only less than $20. And I said, what happened? She said, well, we didn't have time to do any investing. So that was, and we've been through this with Kathleen and Jackie before in the past. We've all met about this over the years. You don't want to be the responsible for this fund, give it up. Or, as Jim Swift suggested, you transfer the funds to a bank account and have them distribute the amount called for in the trust on an annual basis.
Yeah. So I was the treasurer of the Ilsley Library trustees for several years, and they keep some of the donations in earmarked funds and take money and transfer it
It had been
into.
earmarked. Jackie showed
Yeah,
us that.
no, I understand. And
It still
so
got
I
lost
think
again.
that all of the options that you've presented are possible. And I think that when Nick is back, he'll get in touch and figure out the right way forward. I'm sorry we don't have an answer for you tonight.
Okay, so those are the 2 options. So anything else?
Thank you. For the 4th time, is there anyone here with business not on the agenda who would like to speak to the select board? All right. Judy? All right. Good. All right.
We do have our police chief candidate
Fantastic.
here.
All right.
Is anyone else coming? Are we waiting for anyone else? Okay.
Great. Let's move them up.
I'm
So-
out of your hair.
Oh, shucks.
This is it.
Yeah.
So I want to introduce you to Jason Covey. Jason will be taking over for me next week.
Wow.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
So,
Next
Chief is jumping the gun a little bit. The town manager's formal recommendation is for the appointment of Jason Covey as our next police chief. Jason has been with the town since February 2000 and has faithfully served first as a police officer to 2009 and then as a sergeant to present day. He also has a degree in political science from the St. Michael's College and a Master's of Public Administration from Norwich University, where his concentration was in criminal science and emergency management.
Yes, please.
I'll move to accept Town Manager Kathleen Ramsey's hiring recommendation for the Town of Middlebury Chief of Police as presented.
Second.
I just want to say that we have been blessed by Chief Hanley. It's, as I've said so long, I'm getting tired of my own voice. It's wonderful to be in this position and never worry that your police department is going to be a thorn in your side or ever do the wrong thing in any of the sticky situations that your officers find themselves in every day. And I feel great about the hiring process and about the laudits that I've heard from the interviewers. And I am very excited for this department to maintain its stellar record.
Thank you, and we will.
I'm very excited about the new chief, but I'm so sad. So
Yeah.
you better not disappear on us.
I'm not going anywhere.
Come for the public comments every week.
Any other comments before we approve?
Best of luck to Chief Hanley.
Thank you.
So,
I would like to say I got to sit on the interview committee, and Jason's impressive, and I enthusiastically support him. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All those in favor, please signify
Aye.
by applauding loudly.
Congratulations, Chief.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Chiefs.
Yeah,
So you take over right now?
Monday.
the chief is dead. Long live the chief. I don't know what the right piece is.
Chief
Anyway,
Emeritus.
yes,
And,
yes,
For a while. I'll be around for a while. We're getting through the
Chief-elect.
transition.
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So, I'll be
perfect.
here for a while.
Much appreciated.
It's
Thank
been
you
an
so
honor
much.
and a privilege, folks.
Thank you.
It's been
For
great.
us as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you should tell us what you want us to call you, because we've gone back and forth with with Chief, and then Tom kept saying Tom. So let us know how you would like to be addressed. And I feel like if you've earned the Chief, at least for a little while, you should, you know.
I've been called many things.
Yeah.
Open to anything.
It's a rank you can always call him chief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the courtesy.
And so the next most commonly asked questions after who's going to be the chief, the
Yeah.
new chief, is what are we doing to celebrate Tom Hanley?
Yeah.
On Thursday, October 26th,
Yes.
from 4 to 6 p.m., there is going to be an open house at the Town Hall Theater. And there will be opportunities for songs, tributes, and roasting in good taste.
We all have to sing?
4 to 6. It's an open house.
You especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Are you staying on DEI, or are we getting new DEI person?
I've told Jason that the meeting is the 27th, so he'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be there as well.
You gonna stay on for, because now we have money.
Yeah, it's Jason should be to represent the police department, though.
Okay. But you can be on as an amazing citizen.
I could be a hanger-on. You know.
Wonderful.
Or doing donuts or something.
Fred's always here. You can come to our meetings. What? This is a momentous and wonderful time. And Tom, I hope you enjoy your citizen role.
Status.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I plan on it.
Every time there's an emergency, just keep sleeping.
Yeah, that's right.
Feel really
Do not
bad.
get a scanner to keep track of
Jason
what's
has
going on.
assured me that the phone will remain connected.
Wonderful.
Maybe the chief, maybe Tom should be a candidate for the select board when.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's great. I've heard
You
of,
gotta have purpose, you gotta have a cause, you need to continue to serve.
He's going to continue on, as Emergency Management Director.
oh, great, good. So
Yeah,
see
well,
you
that's
in
I was
public
appointed.
health.
Until
Not sleeping through the
April,
emergency.
Okay.
when appointments are up again.
Very good.
The retirement plan wasn't good enough with that EMD position. Went along with the salary.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, chiefs.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
folks.
Ah. That's wonderful.
Best part of the job, huh?
Oh my God, it is. Ah, all right. And back to our regularly scheduled broadcast. Next up are some public works purchases. Item number 5, expected at 7:10 p.m. Emily. Emily.
I missed everything you said, Andy, but I'm assuming you were discussing the public works stuff.
I was. Sorry about that.
Okay. No, I was signing in as a panelist, so it goes for a second.
Sure.
So the first item on the public works side is to hopefully authorize some water line valve replacements on South Main Street. In doing the South Street project, we realized that there are 2 valves there, both of which they haven't completely failed, but they don't completely close either. So it makes it extremely difficult to pressurize the line and run the testing that we need to test as the line gets replaced. So I've asked for a quote from Casella. It'll actually be an improvement to the setup that we have. It would be a T-valve. Which will allow us to better section off areas as needed. Right now it's just 2 valves. So it'll be a T-valve. They quoted $33,410. There is not money included in that quote for police oversight. We're thinking it would be best to do it at night. So it's just south of the Rotary Street. Is where we need to work, so I'm thinking after 6 p.m. with traffic would be the best situation. And I would probably want to have a UTO or police assisting in the process.
Sure.
Maybe not controlling that lighted intersection, but at least available. Blue lights always seem to calm people down a little bit. And then we would also have flaggers on top. So we don't have that cost included in here. I think Casella was going to reach out to RPD to figure out what their capacity is. It's a little bit harder to get sheriffs these days.
Yeah.
So we still have to figure that component out, and then additional costs for paving. Oh, he does have the 2,500 for ETO. Additional costs for the pavement. So I just did it as a not to exceed 40,000, which gives a little cushion for flaggers and just the extra work in the intersection.
And the Casella quote included evening work? Sorry.
What's that, Andy?
Yeah, there's a little lag between here and Moncton. The Casella quote included working evenings rather than days?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move the select board approve the additional work related to the water valve replacement on South Main Street for a cost not to exceed $40,000.
Second.
I'll give it to Izzy. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none.
Is this budgeted?
No. This is an add-on.
No, we have, yes, add on to the South Street project, but we do have capital funds available that we can utilize for it.
Okay.
Good question, Dan. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify.
Aye.
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 Very good. We got there. What's next, Emily?
The next piece, main pump station, which failed during the August 3rd storm event. We're still running on bypass pumping, which took off most of last weekend. We've got that moving along for the moment while the pumps are getting rebuilt. I believe they're scheduled for the 20th to start getting returned. The pumps and motors are getting rebuilt separately, so I've lost track of the exact dates, but I think August 20th is when we're anticipating a return. But we would also like to purchase 3 new pumps, just in knowing that the rebuilt pumps are already 20 years old going into it, and now they have been completely submerged and burnt out from that storm event. So I think they will get us through the interim, but I don't put a lot of weight on carrying them forward in the future. So we'd like to buy 3 new pumps. We have a quote for $67,750 a piece. I've been waiting for the installation quote. We were hoping to get it yesterday and have not received it yet. But that's no matter what we do, we have to install pumps. So that quote isn't necessarily a driving factor. I will say the pump station is being carried by insurance. So we do have some protection there. Any questions on that one?
And the lead time on this order is 26 weeks.
Oh,
26 to 28, yeah.
Oh.
So the sooner we get this
Wow.
purchased through. Yeah.
and when you mentioned insurance, like we had insurance which covers the capital cost?
Insurance is covering all of the costs inside the pump stations, is my understanding.
Fantastic.
There's still some confusion with the insurance piece of it. I was working with Crystal quite a bit today, trying to figure out those components. I think we also, I think we will likely get FEMA funding for the this event. It was seeming unlikely towards the end of last week. But from more recent communications with them, I think we will get it. So we'll also have some potential protection there.
That's awesome.
Emily, I have a question. Are the new pumps submersible? Like if this happens again,
No,
do they
they're
make
not,
those?
but we can make modifications to the pump station itself so that there are floodgates, which would be brilliant to keep any stormwater like that from flowing in. They're in a big vault way down in the basement, so if you can keep the floodwater out of that vault, you're fine.
Okay.
So do you have to come back for the cost of the insulation to approve?
I think for right now, we just want to get this approved because no matter what, we have to install the pumps.
Right.
So,
And so this will get us in the queue so we can order these.
Right. Yeah.
exactly.
I'll move to approve the purchase of 3 new pumps for the main pump station for a total cost of $203,250 plus the cost of just the total cost of $203,200.
Second.
Yeah, we'll do the cost of installation later. Right?
Yep.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
Moved
just
and seconded by Farhad. Any other comments?
When we move on to cost of installation, could we also get numbers? Like, I have no idea what you just described for keeping the water out of the basement would cost, but can we get sort of that information too?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if insurance will pay that, but I think that is a component that we could also go after if we get the FEMA declaration.
Yeah.
We're able to do mitigation measures to prevent future damage.
Okay.
So we could always potentially put it into that category and go after it that way.
Okay, awesome.
And also, please keep us advised of how the insurance claim works out.
Right.
And in other words, this is still up in the air whether these are going to be paid for by insurance. Obviously, Kathleen will have some issue and some to say about how we pay for them if it's not paid by insurance.
Mm-hmm.
We should just install,
Yeah, we'll circle back on that.
perfect.
Okay, thanks.
Looks good. All those in favor, please
Aye.
signify.
Aye.
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 I said aye.
Oh, okay, good. We're all in. Very good. Thanks so much, Emily. Is that all you've got for us this evening?
That is.
Oh, my goodness.
Just, cool.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yep, it was.
It's just a drop in the.
Yeah.
Oh, literally. Moving on to agenda item number 6, the follow-up to the Select Board retreat on the Ilsley Public Library 100 project. Dana, I can read the lengthy narrative provided by Kathleen and David here, or I can ask you to just summarize it for us.
Sure. I don't have that much to add other than what's in the summary already, but at the September 5th retreat, the select board gave the town the go-ahead to start negotiating with REARC and Greenland Lamphere, and those negotiations are ongoing. And I think Judith will have something, or Kathleen will have something to share pretty soon. My sense is that they're going well, but as it became clear to all of us in the retreat, I under budgeted for this work. We took our best guess, but it's a little low. And so, we're trying to meet in the middle. And one of the things I've been trying to do is figure out where we might find some extra funding. And we had some funding left over from what we had budgeted to pay Engineering Services of Vermont to develop designs for our HVAC system. They started that work, and they never finished it because they told us how much it would be, and we decided, wow, we should wait and do that at the same time as the renovation expansion. So I'm proposing, it's $14,000. It's not a ton, but it's enough to help get us a little closer. And so I'm proposing that we move that over into the capital improvements budget line that's funding the design work for the schematic design.
Seems reasonable. All right. And yeah, it's a rounding error once we get into the full renovation design and construction. So makes sense to make the money available now, I think. A motion.
I'll move that the select board vote to approve the transfer of $14,100 from the budget line 055-1519-6 to budget line 055-1518-7
Second.
Nicely done. Lindsay on the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify.
Aye.
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 Very good. Thanks, Dana.
Thanks, everyone.
When the aliens come and they look through our meeting minutes, they'll be like, what were these creatures doing? Chief,
We were
Chiefs.
being responsible with our money.
We were, but
Yeah.
15-5-1519-6.100.
We'll have to start calling him director.
Yes.
Just Tom works.
Okay.
Director.
Monday, you'll be the chief.
Right.
Yeah.
Before I get kicked to the curb by
Oh,
Leonard.
No.
man.
Oh, I thought we were
Laughing over
getting to
there.
do that tonight.
Symbolic.
When we had this flooding here on August 3rd, we came to the realization, actually, the fire department had brought this up earlier. We isolated an entire neighborhood on Seymour Street, Pine Meadows, Ledgewood, Woodbridge. There's no way we can get an ambulance or a fire truck in there should they be needed with the intersection closed because they can't use the bridge. That was a concern. Only 6 weeks earlier when we had an active shooter right at that same intersection, that intersection was again closed because we couldn't get any emergency vehicles through. Should that have been necessary? We've looked at some of the history of the weather here. In the last 10 years or so, we've had about 10 federal emergency actions from FEMA. Some of the public money is still going out there to damage based on weather issues in the last 10 years, which rose to the level of FEMA disaster declarations. So as weird as this was that other night where we had 10 feet of water under the trestle,
Yeah.
It could happen again. And our concern is how do we get to people that are in need? Because when these things happen, this is generally when people are in need,
Sure.
for medical issues or whatever.
And this happened in central Massachusetts, night before last?
Yes.
Right? 9 inches.
Yeah. So, and it's not only that. I mean, we had the active shooter. It could be anything going on. I think what we just really want to get doing is get the discussion started on how we can get access to that neighborhood when those roads are closed. We've looked at the rail over there. I know the railroad isn't thrilled with even talking about this, but there's an issue with the rail there anyway because it's a siding and they often have rolling stock parked there, which you couldn't get across anyway. There's 3 sets of rails there. There's a siding, there's a main rail. It's quite a large place to try to get vehicles across. Cutting through the back of Danforth seemed to be the most reasonable, but again, you've got that large section of rail there. And the day we looked at it, it was full of rolling stock that were stored there waiting to be switched out. So at some point, we got to find a way to get around the pulp mill bridge so we can get people in and out of there and emergency vehicles in.
Right.
I know I just immediately want to try to solve the problem. But at the end of the little development on Exchange Street where the doctor's offices and the Forest Service are, that end parking lot, there's only one track there, right?
Right.
It would take some work, obviously, to put some kind of pass in there, but I think that might be a reasonable place to consider.
Yeah, the geography is challenging over there. There's quite a drop off on the other side of the tracks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fairly significant when you're going into Wright Park at that point.
Okay.
So that would be quite a way to
I
do
was thinking that was further. Never mind.
Yeah, David and I walked the tracks
Okay.
and we checked different areas. Yeah, where Pine Meadows is, there's a swale there. There's a little bit of a wetland where it drops down from Pine Meadows and goes up to the tracks. That'd be a difficult crossing there as well.
Okay.
I mean, the issue was, I'll go back 30 years when we had a large construction project going on at the pulp mill bridge. And my suggestion at the time was, why don't we take that apart and put it in Wright Park as a tourist attraction and build a concrete and steel bridge there that can actually get functional traffic across it. And of course, the commitment was over the years to keep going with the pulp mill bridge. We can't get emergency vehicles through the pulp mill bridge.
No. I worry about getting my small passenger cars through the pulp mill.
Right. Anyway, so this is a start, I think. And I know we're not going to solve anything tonight. I'm not an engineer and I don't pretend to be. But we want to at least get this going at some point so we could talk about this and maybe find out what our options are.
And if we get a FEMA declaration and there's mitigation money, that would be a good time to try to fund something as well. Because that would be, I would think that would be an acceptable use of that money, creating an alternative access for that area. So.
Yeah, and we've got Printer's Alley that we can get some emergency vehicles through. But again, that whole intersection of Maple Street was closed. You couldn't get an ambulance through there at all. So it's just, we've got this neighborhood out there that's isolated, Seymour Street Extension, Seymour Street, all the way out to Pine Meadows.
Yeah.
They are isolated. If that main route in there is closed for whatever, nobody's getting in there to get them out or provide services.
Yeah. Right.
What is the, I mean, this has nothing to do with anything that we're going to solve right now, but what is the, like, is there an amount of time that you have to be able to get to a place for it to be, you know what I mean? Like, how far out could we put some sort of something like that?
Any access there would be better than what we have now. And if we can find a simple access to get in there from, say, Exchange Street or in there, that may take a minute longer than coming the regular way, but at least you're getting assets in there. If there's a house on fire or a medical emergency where we have to move people, we can evacuate people. The police cars can get in and out. We can get through the bridge without a problem. And we could have people come up and walk out if we had to, or escort them out with a car. But the concern, of course, is the larger apparatus, the ambulance and the fire engine.
If it's 10 feet of water, what can we do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, we're not
Nothing.
going through, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's either like river or train tracks. So I vote train tracks, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, so as we look at hazard mitigation and things like that and potential capital plans going forward, I think this is a consideration we need to have just so we don't have an isolated population there. Most places we can get in from a back way, whether it's Butt-Off Acres or any of the other residential areas, we can get in from a roundabout way. We can't do that here.
It really looks like whoever owns Champlain Valley Equipment could probably provide an easement over to Sarah's Way, but I'm just spitballing here. Anyway, no, I think this is a great thing for you to bring to our attention, and obviously we want to be able to provide services to the entire town in case of emergencies.
Right, and we're not looking for an open public access. We're looking for an emergency route.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
We can breach if we have to.
Yeah. Do we need to do anything about this right now?
I don't think so. Again, there's really nothing we're going to do tonight. I'm not bringing in engineering plans or anything like
Yeah,
that.
good.
I just kind of ringing the bell here. As we do our emergency plan update next year, we'll identify this as a potential hazard location in our plan. And
Right.
that's where everything starts, is the planning process and the acknowledgement that there is a problem here that we need to move forward.
Great.
So was the drainage not an issue? It was just too much water?
I think it was just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But the
that
drainage was fine.
It drained after a while. It all drained out after an hour or two after the rain stopped. So it did go away. That area tends to accumulate a lot of water in it at heavy rain anyway, because it washes down Elm Street.
I'm just wondering if we have enough drainage in that section, because it's so low that.
Well, any option that gives us these abilities to get emergency equipment in there is going to be good. There seems to be quite a bit of drainage there. That was addressed years ago when the underpass was redone back in was it the 90s, Kathleen, when they redid that?
Man.
You've been here almost as long as.
People are going to be looking at me now, Tom, without you here.
Oh, man.
If Fred is in the Caribbean, they'll be looking at me for what happened in the 90s.
Man, it's great to have all this institutional knowledge.
But that was a concern then because there had been a water problem there before that.
Sure. Was the rail tunnel okay during that storm?
Yeah, it seemed to be.
Amazing.
We didn't see any issues there.
Yeah.
The issue with where the trestle is, it's all running downhill.
Yep.
From North
Yeah,
Pleasant Street.
no, clearly it's
Yeah,
getting
it's
it
just
from
a-
both sides. Tons of impermeable.
If you looked
yeah,
at the films, you
surface.
could see how it was coming through the backyard of the house on Seymour Street. And there were actual waterfalls coming out of the police station where the building was inundated with about 3 feet of water.
That was amazing and awful. All right. Thanks, Tom.
Well, thank you for hearing this, and hopefully we can move on.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
So maybe we could I'll try to remember on Thursday, but maybe just ask Emily if she has other engineering going on to
Yeah.
see if we can't tag that on.
Yeah.
Just to get.
Yeah. What's the right way to get a vehicle in there?
Start the process.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I may speak, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Kevin Parizzo, I live at 57 Seymour. And I can assure you that it was the most disconcerting feeling when I was watching water coming straight through Danforth parking lot. And most of you know the size of the ditch that's in front of my house.
Indeed.
That was totally full.
Yeah.
It was overflowing straight through my front yard, down in through my cellar, out into the back. And a good chunk of it was going down to the police station from our back field.
Sure.
What's very interesting, and Kathleen knows I'm going to mention this, if you go back into the historical records of this town, it was mentioned by me back several times when the discussion was about the new railroad, Amtrak, what happens with an emergency access, which we used to have in front of the Duquette House.
Mm-hmm.
That always existed directly across the street from Fire and Ice Restaurant. And it was fenced off and it was used in the case of an emergency. We lost that because I suspect the railroad exerted pressure that they didn't want to have that as a responsibility or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, but my feeling is when one of the assistant fire chiefs called my house during this storm and asked if we were all right, and we were attempting to keep water flowing out of our cellar, he said, Kevin, if your house catches on fire, we cannot get to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's rather disconcerting.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, in my estimation, and I raised this problem to Kathleen and to Tom, and that's how you, and this letter got initiated. Who's liable? It's a liability factor. And for all the years that I was on this select board, one of the things that we all do as taxpayers, because of the fire department and the fire coverage that we have, we all save money on our insurance due to the, is it IOC rating, I think? What if all of a sudden it's determined that that fire department cannot get to you? Does that change? Does that change your insurance? Does that change the liability factor for the town's insurance? These are all questions I'm throwing out.
Yeah.
And I understand that the railroad doesn't like to have anybody cross their tracks. Well, I'm sorry. How do we put a price tag on a person's life? And so I would advise and ask this board if you would at least consider putting something in as an emergency exit or entrance or whatever you want to call it.
We can't do anything with the railroad property, right? That they own that, and it's covered
He's
by.
here at this meeting.
Oh,
right?
No, what I'm saying is I'm asking that we, at least be promoting this
yes.
before we have another
Oh, of course.
disaster on our
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
hands. As Tom very eloquently said, we've already had now 2 this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, yeah. Right. No, and I think we're asking our town staff to figure out how to get people around these potential flooded areas. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fred?
Fred Dunnington. It's not like there are not other places where there are crossings. I know there's an agreement that was fairly recently updated down at the boathouse access on the TAM. The college has an agreement that the town, I think, is party to behind the college baseball fields.
Oh, okay.
So it's the railroad wants you to insure them for millions of dollars, but the agreement exists there, and there's plenty of precedents for other emergency crossings, emergency accesses around. It's just getting the railroad to agree to something that they're confident won't cramp their operations in some way.
Sure.
And then the cost of constructing it.
Yeah.
If it's just gravel, it shouldn't be much, but even to fill some differences in topography shouldn't be that difficult. But it's more of a.
Well, it's interesting because you also have to build it so that it doesn't wash out during your 6-inch, 8-inch rain event.
Yes, that would be good.
Yeah.
But it needs gates, and
for sure
they need to feel secure, and so.
Good. Thanks, Fred. Any other discussion about the emergency access to the Seymour Street area? No? Okay. Moving on. Follow-up to Middlebury Regional EMS's request to Select Board to enter into contractual relationship with Town of Middlebury. I will read this one. The Middlebury Regional EMS, MREMS, recently contacted the Town of Middlebury to propose a new agreement for services between the town and MREMS beginning in calendar year 24, lasting for 5 years. MREMS is proposing that this contract is part of a larger organizational effort to formalize what has historically been an informal contractual relationship between MREMS and the town. The proposal increases the amount to $118,976 annually for emergency medical and town rescue services, with possible language included for annual price adjustment in fiscal year 24, running from July 1st, 23 to June 30, 24. The town of Middlebury's appropriation for MREMS is $84,960. This year's rate of service is $13 per capita based on the 2020 census. The proposal increases the annual cost as a result of a number of factors, including rising inflation impacting the purchasing of medical supplies and equipment, wages necessary to attract and retain highly qualified staff. MREM's Board of Directors and Management held a public meeting on August 28th to discuss further the services offered by the organization to the surrounding community. MREMS will submit additional supporting information before Tuesday's meeting.
I understand that Isabella and you went to the meeting.
Indeed, we did. Lizzie, what's your?
Yeah, I got out of that we have so many people who are working part-time for MREMs, and the organization is finding that other organizations that pay more, that offer more, are able to pull them, and they can, if they're willing to commute, they're getting pulled to other organizations. And if we want to stay competitive, and if we want to pay the people in our community and in our surrounding community who are doing this work, which is some of the toughest work that is done in our community, we have to increase the cost a little bit more to be competitive with other organizations, and also to just meet them where they're at with paying for medical costs and medical equipment, and what they are being asked to do now that they weren't being asked to do, decades ago, and how the technology of medical advancements have really shifted the cost that they have to take on.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that. Not only is MREM's per capita half of the comparables that they were citing on the western side of Vermont, it is like a quarter of the cost in the Upper Valley on the eastern side of the state. And their employees are not only being poached by places that offer better wages, they're losing to McDonald's. People start at under $18 an hour and require a decent level of training just to get that very entry level salary in today's job market. I think that this is really currently a great deal for Middlebury, even with this increase and the expected increases over the next few years. My concern that I brought to that meeting is that it feels a lot like a municipal service, and they have none of the transparency or oversight that we expect from municipal services and municipal entities. I see that Dan's hand is up. I'm going to ask him to chime in now if he's interested.
Yes, I'm ready. For us, and well, some of us were around in the last, on the board, the last round we went this, where we had a significant request from them at the last minute. First thing I'll say is, MRAMS is a great organization. It's really important to this community. They do a great job. I cannot say anything about the way they operate and what they do for us as a community. Like Kathleen, has anybody at MRAMS approached you and talked to you to negotiate this contract about that was put in the contract, or the cost of the contract?
Did they do a per capita calculation? And the letter that we received was the first of my contact with them about this.
Okay, and so this contract probably has not been looked at by our attorney either, correct?
No.
Okay, my concern here for this is the way that they're doing business and the way they do business with us. This should have been somebody coming to Kathleen or to discuss and give a warning on this, and not having it as inviting the select board members to sit at their board meeting and ask questions at their board meeting. That's not the way we should be doing business. We as a town and them as a business should be sitting down with each other and talking about this and looking at the contract and discussing the various costs. And so I highly recommend that we do nothing with this tonight, that we do more diligence, that we have some of us sit down with them and have it laid out and do it in a proper manner, instead of just submitting a contract to us and asking us to approve it without any input from us as a town. I feel strongly about that. They basically did this the last time we went through this, and we had a significant increase, and we gave them $80,000, and now we'll give them $100,000 and some, and right now, the way it's organized, Kathleen is giving, this organization, the highest amount of money probably of any other organization we get, and she has no oversight or any ability to practice or work with them in any capacity. So I suggest we delay and do more due diligence. We ask them to come talk to us, maybe have some conversations at the town level and at their, and maybe with their them speaking to us as select board also.
Thanks, Dan. I agree with almost all of those comments. Heather.
Finish what you were going to say. I'm sorry.
No worries. One other piece from the meeting, I suggested that it would be great if we could see their books and see like what percentage are they getting? Are the towns all contributing equitably to this as they go to a contract model and it's not all on the ballot for everyone to see? And the response was that previously they had shared their budget information with, I believe, Middlebury, and had felt burned by the public scrutiny, by it being shared beyond their expectation and the public response to that information. I kind of get that. I kind of don't, right? We operate very much in public over here, but other organizations that I'm part of, including the ones that pay me, operate very much less in public. One thing I was thinking in this negotiation, Dan, I think that's a great idea, is to hold off on bringing this inside our municipal budget, but would be for them to look at their bylaws and potentially bring a municipal representative. Maybe someone agreed to by member towns beyond Middlebury, right? I don't think that they want a person from each town on there overwhelming their board, but some outside seat on their board so that we have a conduit to the inside, maybe someone who we don't expect to bring us the full books, but some representation. Heather.
So a couple of things. I'm glad that Dan brought it up about the review by a lawyer. I did want to ask and request that our lawyer look at it before we agreed to it. The agreement did make me very uncomfortable regarding the annual increase. I felt like it was pretty open-ended and that they could decide next year to propose an increase of $20 per capita. And I didn't feel like the contract provided us any opportunity to negotiate that. Like, it was like, this is what you're going to pay us.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me. So I had some suggestions that any increases in the contract, any increases were given a certain amount of notice. So if they are requesting an increase, they have to provide us with a timeline of notice. That was one suggestion I had. Another suggestion I had is that we have the opportunity to negotiate any increase. So they provide us notice and we have the opportunity to meet with them and negotiate that, so that it's not just like, oh, it's year 3 of our contract and this is what we're requesting. I just would like us to feel like we had some say in that process.
Yeah.
The other thing I just would like to comment on, I understand what you're saying about the public, but they are a 501c3,
Mm-hmm.
so their books should be transparent.
No.
No.
The 550 that's filed by 501c3s is far from the level of budgetary information that we provide.
Yes. So there's, anyway, I don't want to get into it, but if they're also, this is a legal question that I have. if we're providing public funds to them,
Mhm.
does that result in some more transparency?
I don't believe it has, but
So is there?
I think that's the negotiation. Yeah.
You know, like, if people are just making private donations, okay, but what happens when we have a contract and this is public taxpayer money? Is there then can there be then some required reporting?
Right.
Can there be
Anyway.
an oversight by?
Yeah.
That should be the.
Right.
Transparency is, you're saying they don't have to, but since we are giving the money, can we have an oversight on?
And that was where I was going with the representative, right? This is someone the select board chooses to sit there and be part of their process. I don't know if they've got any appetite for that. This is just an idea. But
I guess I'm also wondering too, what happens if we can't come to an agreement in year 3? You
Right.
know, like, I feel like they have us a little bit in a, you know,
yeah,
they could request whatever they want and we don't really have any.
But that's been happening for the past 3 years, right? This is what they're doing.
Yeah, and I don't, I think it's a great organization. I appreciate the service they provide to the town. I understand the economic pressures they are under and the difficulty in hiring talented people and keeping them on staff. I get it. But at the same point, from this table where we sit, we have the responsibility to be responsible with taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And I am a little nervous that this contract doesn't allow us to do that very well. And just want to make sure we protect the town and the taxpayers' money as best we can in whatever legal manner is acceptable. I don't want to necessarily not approve it. I just want to protect the town's interests as well.
yeah.
That's where I'm coming from.
I think that's great. It's lovely that this came at the beginning of our budgeting process instead of in November, December. But I think we need to move quickly. No, I think we need to move quickly and we need to get to a place where we feel that we've got enough information to put this inside our budget instead of out for the voters to decide on. I can understand their reluctance to have a large source of their funding be decided on March, whatever, first Tuesday by people. That's a precarious situation for any organization, one that the town finds itself in every year.
So are
Dan,
you
sorry, I said
suggesting
cut you off.
that we ask taxpayers to approve the contract?
Well, currently, as it has been, right, they've been an outside service organization with their own Australian ballot line item, right, for approval. Or is it at meeting?
In other towns, they go on the Australian ballot, but ours, they're incorporated into the budget.
We are. Okay. Never mind.
What do we call them?
Health and Human Service
Health and
Agency.
Human Services.
Okay.
So it's included in that part.
Yeah.
So it's included in that budget that way, and it would be included in
Yeah.
the next budget, fiscal year 25 budget, the same way, I would assume. And if taxpayers had an issue with it, then they could vote the budget down and identify what they had an issue with. I guess I just am worried about the contract piece right now and just want to make sure that we're protecting the town as best we can in that contract, so.
Sure.
And is it possible also to say a limit on the amount of increase that can be proposed? Like,
We can never accept a contract where we don't have any say over how much the increase is year to year. I mean, that's just not good business. And we as a town cannot do that.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
like even in the union contracts, there's a percentage of increase
Yes.
annually, right? Like, so I would just hope we could put annual increase of not to exceed this amount on an annual basis.
I don't know, when you're dealing with something as crazy as this particular segment of this huge chunk of the economy. I don't know if you've been reading the Digger and 7 Days articles about emergency services in Vermont,
Yeah,
but some of them have a 20% year over year utilization, right? And it's hard to say that your rate can only increase 10% if you're doing 20% more and your staffing is necessarily 20% higher.
What are we gonna cut out of our budget to make this
Totally agree.
you know, I mean, it's not MRM's fault. It's not any one organization's fault. It's across the board. I mean, look at the healthcare costs. What percentage? I mean, it's just not sustainable.
Right.
And it's nothing to do with MRMs or whatever. And it's not that I don't support them and I don't understand their costs and all of that stuff, but I just want to make sure that the town is protected if we're going to enter into a contract.
Absolutely agree with everything in there. And I also don't know if we necessarily at this point want to write a maximum inflator into a contract. I don't know if that's fair.
They have us in a position where they could say, no, we don't
Yeah.
want that in the contract, but
That's why we have to negotiate them with them about this contract. That's one of the several issues.
So, who should do this negotiating and how do we engage with them?
Why don't I start with the legal review?
With Kathleen.
Okay.
And talk about that.
Great.
And I don't think we need to be talking about it tonight. I think we need to just pull back and have discussions. If Brian will be back in town, I know Brian has a great deal of interest in this contract.
Right. Okay. That sounds great. You okay with this, Kathleen? Your demeanor changed a little bit on that. All right. Very good. Okay. No action on that item this evening other than some direction to staff. Thank you very much, staff. Moving right along to the approval of the engineering agreement for the Exchange Street Bicycle Pedestrian Project.
Yes, hopefully moving into design for the Exchange Street project now that we have the last two necessary right-of-way agreements in sight. You have a proposal before you from Trudell Consulting Engineers for $9,000 to complete the work that was started by Lamoureux and Dickinson, which has now been folded into Trudell Consulting Engineers.
And is all of this within the original budget? Like the money's there? We're just
Noting that our original budget was developed in 2016, 2017.
It's okay.
yeah, that was my question.
Right.
When that budget was developed and what costs are right now,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? Like,
So the state has, I understand, been amenable to revised grant requests, given the cost increases we've been seeing. So there would be that, but there's also a 10% town share that we had set aside based on our initial estimates. We'd have to revisit that. But this design process will give us some updated numbers on what we're looking at.
And this is to take it from essentially Greg's to CSAC. It's not taking it the whole way. Okay.
There we go. I just got a question by text asking exactly that. And so I'm glad that we could answer that. Thanks.
I'll move to approve the proposed engineering services agreement with Trudell Consulting Engineering for continued engineering work on the Exchange Street sidewalk design for $9,000.
Second.
Great. Moved and seconded. Any further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. 100%. All right. Get back to the agenda, Andy. There we go. Item number 10, appointment of voting delegate to the annual meeting of the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, VLCT Property and Casualty Intermunicipal Fund, and VLCT Employment Resources and Benefit Trust Incorporated. All right. So as part of the upcoming Vermont League of Cities and Towns Town Fair, each town gets to designate a voting rep to help set the priorities and all the various things for VLCT, which is an organization made up of the member municipalities. And Kathleen's going.
In
In
absent any.
absence of other interested parties stepping forward, Town Manager Kathleen Ramsey is willing
I
to serve.
see.
You should jump on it.
I had hoped that I would go, but sadly, both of these days correspond with the 2 mandatory in-person days per quarter at my employer. I know. I'm hoping for good weather. I think I'll be on a boat one of those days. Anyway, I'm going to miss out on seeing the other municipal leaders from around the state. Anyone planning to go from this board? Oh, Kathleen, lucky you.
To note that I am on the VLCT passive and VLCT verb boards anyway, so I will be there.
Very good. Either before or after the motion, I guess before, I was disheartened by the league's opposition to the 250 changes in the legislature this past session. I thought that allowing development to happen more quickly in more of the state was a good thing. And while their idea that this would weaken municipal oversight may be true, I think it's often the case that the town is also hamstrung by these processes as well. So
Motion.
I'd love a motion.
I'll move to appoint Town Manager Kathleen Ramsey as Middlebury's voting delegate to the VLCT annual meeting,
Speaking
the
of
passive annual meeting, and the VERB annual meeting.
Moved. Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor, please signify.
Aye.
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 Very good. All in. All right. Moving on to our penultimate agenda item. Additional funding agreement for ongoing bicycle pedestrian connectivity plan with Jennifer Murray presenting. Welcome aboard. Tell us about this thing.
Well, this is just an exciting opportunity to increase our total project budget for the bike ped plan. Because we had gotten a municipal planning grant for a little less than we asked for. The total project cost was only $24,000. So when the consultant responded to our RFP, there were a couple things they needed to take out. And then we started doing public input. We've gotten a lot of, we got over 300 responses to our survey. I have to tell you the top pick in the survey in terms of what people want to see is the Exchange Street bike path. So we're right on point there. And, you know, it'd just be nice to be able to do a little extra work to be able to document some of this input that we've gotten. So regional planning had some extra money left over that needs to be expended by the end of September, and they threw $15,000 our way. So this agreement is, this agreement is to just increase our contract a little bit.
Great.
Is there any town required match to that, or it's 15,000?
No required match.
From RPC, from RPC.
Like, how much more of that do you have?
So what is there really to
Yeah.
disagree with?
I love spending other people's money as much as the next guy. Although it is our money because we do fund RPC some, but yeah, okay. Very good.
I'll move to
Two pieces of contract here. One is for our contract with regional planning to get the money, and the other is our contract with Trudell to increase the contract by another $15,000.
I'll move to approve the proposed agreement with Addison County Regional Planning Commission for additional funding for the town's bicycle and pedestrian planning project for $15,000.
Second.
Great. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Thumbs.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Very good.
I also move to, go ahead.
Do it.
Somebody say something?
No, go ahead.
She just said thank you. Go ahead.
I also move to approve the proposed engineering services agreement with Trudel Consulting Engineering for additional work on the bike ped connectivity plan for $15,000.
All those in favor, please signify.
Aye.
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 Very good. Must be getting towards the end of the night. Great. Thanks so much, Jen.
Yeah,
And-
Secretary, Infrastructure Committee, if anybody wants to see a draft of the plan, Infrastructure Committee will see a draft plan then. And then we'll see the final draft at your next select board meeting, so stay tuned.
And I saw in the contract that this work has to be completed this month.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
That is quick. Yeah.
It is, but it's also nice that all the input is fresh in the consultant's mind. I mean, usually this last month goes pretty quick anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You have to finish the work this month? Or
Yeah,
you just
must
spend the
be
money?
done.
Or just to spend the money?
No, I think it's deliverables.
Make the design like in our hand next.
I think the deliverables are due at the end of this month. Yeah. Okay.
Good job.
Thanks, Jen.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Next item, town manager's recommendation. Oh, no, we got that. Moving on to the check warrants.
You want to do that one again?
Yeah, for sure. Who's the lucky person?
At 8:21.
And we're right on time.
Where
This
is
is
the
awesome.
clipboard tonight?
I'll get it from accounting. Yeah. Leave
I'll
it out.
move to approve total expenditures in the amount of $1,361,826.42, consisting of $1,240,936,023 for accounts payable and $120,890.19 for payroll for the period of September 6, 2023 to September 12, 2023.
Second.
Yeah, let's pay our bills. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Board member concerns. I'm gonna start over here.
I got none.
What?
I know.
That's unreasonable.
I was
How's
trying to think of some.
how's school going?
School is good.
Good.
Congrats to everyone who started school. Welcome back to Middlebury College students.
Thanks, Farhan.
Just want to bring it up. We had an email from the owner of Mr. Ups.
Yeah.
About the issue they were having. I had somebody came to me that they were getting out of the car with their 9-year-old son, and this person came charging at them, and the kid got very, very scared.
Mhm.
And they were just concerned that the tents and everything sitting there is some people are drunk or people have drugs or something, and people seem very unsafe around that. And there may be a conversation going on, Kathleen, with the letter you sent us.
We did have a conversation with the town's attorney through the Vermont League of Cities and Towns about this matter, and any issue that involves disorderly or aggressive conduct should be reported to the police for action.
It's so unfortunate that I just noticed this morning in the back of my store.
Yeah.
We have the empty pallets that we get all the goods in. We stack it and people come grab it if they need it.
Yeah.
And somebody had just put the pallets and almost made a room out of it. And there's so much trash and leftover foods and stuff there. If you don't notice it, it just becomes a place for them to stay, I guess. And winter is coming, it's going to increase. It's not going to subside anytime soon.
Yeah.
That was one question. We didn't end up having it on the agenda, but on that subject, I wondered after reading that letter if there was complaints that should be made to the police if people are feeling threatened. Because regardless of their sheltering situation, they can't treat people inappropriately.
Absolutely not.
And if people feel inappropriately treated, then they should be reporting that and to the police department. And And I guess I just want people to be aware of that. And I think that there's a tendency to not want to report it because they feel bad, maybe reporting people who are experiencing challenges. But regardless of the challenges you may be experiencing, you can't treat people badly. So I would encourage people, if they've experienced that situation, to call the police department and report it.
Thanks. Yeah. Lindsay.
Well, I guess along with that, I'm just throwing this out there that at some point we might want to revisit the idea of Airbnbs. You've brought it up before. And if we could do things that would encourage people to convert those into more
Real
permanent
units?
housing for
Yeah.
people, like accessory dwelling units. Because I know a number of people who have that kind of space that isn't used all the time. Anything we can do to minimize, yeah, it's okay, to minimize, or to create more housing is going to alleviate that problem because it'll free up
Of course.
beds.
Yeah.
So I do think we should really consider that.
And that brings me to the
Policy committee?
the policy committee. The created but not yet activated policy committee. And I will reach out to the members to schedule an inaugural get together in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, because that was one of the things that we were thinking about. You may have seen that the Burlington ordinance is undergoing legal review to see whether they actually can restrict Airbnbs in the way that they have up there. I thought they were very reasonable limits to hopefully dissuade people from taking things out of long-term housing stock. But yeah, we'll see how that goes and look at the existing policies in other municipalities and maybe bring something here along with being open to other areas that people would like us to investigate. Yeah, I think I've spoken enough this evening.
Did you ask Dan for his?
Oh, Dan, I didn't. Here, Dan, please.
No, I like the last conversation there and certainly support that. But other than that, I don't have anything. Tomorrow we're pointing the trailer eastward and starting to head home. So we'll be home in a week.
Awesome. So we'll see you in person
Safe travels.
next time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I will certainly be there in person next week.
Awesome. We don't meet next week.
I know I was going to meet with you next week.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Very good. I would entertain a motion to adjourn if we don't have anything for executive session. It's moved.
Second. You can have it, Heather.
No,
Okay, I'll take it.
Very good.
Excited.
Moved and seconded. I don't believe there's discussion available on a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Yay.
Good night, Dan.
Good job, everyone.
Good night.